Welcome back to Theresa's Dad. My name is Theresa and I'm very much alive. I have an awful garbage filthy mouth, so viewer discretion is advised. But if you're not into that or weird shit in general, this is definitely not the place for you. Feel free to exit out the video here. No harm, no foul, but I'll remember our time fondly. Why hello my little star cookie crunch cakes. I hope you're doing well. I don't know what happened. I did have interest in this palette, and then I didn't, and then I did, and then I didn't, and then I did, and then I didn't, and then I went to Sephora and I was mesmerized. So in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the new ABH Nouveau palette, which is this beauty right here. So let me tell you a little bit about this palette first. Nouveau Palette's reinvented mattes and multi-dimensional metallics leave everything to your imagination with amped up neutrals, perfect pops of color, and a fresh green story that feels ethereal. So this palette retails for $55. And it comes in the style that I would say is pretty much more in line with the Riviera palette. You know, that kind of canvas feel? That's what this has. This reminds me of like the poor man's Trapper Keeper. Like this very weird, almost denim kind of a feel 3-ring binder that I had when I went to school. That's what this reminds me of. It's giving me all the nostalgic feels right now. I do love the look of this because it feels so much more cleaner than the like dirty teddy bear palettes that they used to have. That said, when you do open her up, you get this nice size mirror and these 12 shades. 6 of those are metallic, 1 duochrome, and 5 mattes. Now please note there are 3 pressed pigments in this palette. You have Wisteria, which is a matte pastel lavender with sparkling reflex, Paloma, a creamy matte ivory with sparkling reflex, and Metro, a matte rich clay. Now in the corner, I'm going to show you 3 different looks that I created using this palette. Let's break it down by formula. And I'm going to start with the mattes first. The mattes are fucking good. Even the weird pressed pigment ones, they are fucking good. And it's honestly really strange because when you think of pressed pigment, you kind of think of like really bright neon kind of colors. Like Wisteria makes sense, like okay, a purple being a pressed pigment, okay, fine. But the shade like Metro and Paloma, I would have never thought in a million trillion years that they would be considered a pressed pigment, but here we are. Now, as someone who has incredibly sensitive eyes, I'm happy to report that I didn't have any issues with the pressed pigments. I actually didn't have any weird experience with any of the shades in the palette. Even the weird rogue glitter bukkake that I got with the metallic shades, all the shades in this palette did not hurt my eyes. So if you are like me and you have sensitive eyes, rest assured there is a very good chance this palette will be good for you. That said, the mattes in this palette remind me of like stepping back into time. Remember when ABH wasn't such a weird joke? This is screaming 2018, 2019. And I mean that in the best way possible. They are powdery, yes, they're really fucking powdery. But they're easy to work with because they blend so beautifully. They're the kind of shades that don't require you to jerk off the palette, like everything really works very well together and very quickly. And you're able to blend the colors without it being like a patchy, muddy mess. The longevity is excellent. And I love that even with the 5 mattes in this palette, there is an excellent range where I feel like I can get a variety of looks with them. For me, my favorite shades though are Wisteria and Liberty, these 2 right here. They're so fucking good. Wisteria is like this really beautiful pastel lavender color that does not lose its luster when applied to the lid. It's very pigmented. It kind of reminds me of the periwinkle-esque lavender shade that is in the Norvina palette, the Soul shade over here. Like it kind of gives me that vibe, but maybe like a lighter, more attractive cousin to that version. Now Liberty, on the other hand, which is this beautiful like matte green shade here. This is kind of giving me like the older cousin to Subculture vibe, and it really provides the best amount of dimension in the crease. Now the other pressed pigment, which is Paloma, this actually is a really nice inner corner highlight. Or if you want to diffuse the edges of a darker shade, this is great to be used as a softener. And the shades Metro and Fleur, they just go hand in hand with each other. The combination of the 2 gives a lot of dimension. It's really, really pretty. I don't have a bad thing to say about the mattes. Yes, they are powdery. That's probably my only complaint. And yes, there's some kick up, yes, there's some fallout, but overall, like if you just do your eye look first, you don't have to deal with the bullshit. And the mattes are everything that I used to really love about this brand. So like I'm a fucking fan, hardcore, 10 out of 10, they're wonderful. Now, as for the metallics, again, I feel like I'm quantum leaping here. They're giving me all the nostalgic feels. All the things that I used to love from this brand circa 4 years ago. The metallics are soft and buttery, and they really have a nice high payoff. They're the kind of metallics that work very well together, and you can make beautiful gradients within the shades to show dimension. I'm obsessed with these moody, rich earth tones. This is a neutral, grungy subculture in a sense. Basically, if subculture had to find a corporate job. No longer are they living in their parents' basement, instead they fuck their way to middle management, okay? And I mean that in the best way possible. The shadows apply evenly with a dry or saturated brush. However, the glitter bukkake in this bitch, it's real. She's real. Even if you're using a glitter glue, there is a really good chance that you're gonna look like you fucked a disco ball. Just lean into it, okay? It's 2022, who cares? What I like about the metallic formula is it's very smooth, so you don't have to experience any of that wrinkly texture that sometimes happens when you're using glitter glue, and there's no flaking with this formula. It's very, very smooth, has amazing longevity. There was no irritations from the glitter, even though it did attack my eyeball, I didn't have any irritations with it. Again, I find doing your eye makeup first will definitely mitigate the twilight effect. I don't have a bad thing to say about these shades, I really don't. I think they've just worked very, very well with each other, and each shade stands beautifully on its own. In ways, this is kind of like a cousin to the Jackie Aina palette, and if you know, you know this is a great fucking palette, and I feel like the combination of the two just really work very well together. Now, my favorite shades in this palette is definitely Wings, Belle, and Hope. The combination of those three together, fucking beautiful. Wings is a silver green, Belle is like an antique bronze, and Hope has like a little bit of like an olive undertone to it. Muse is another great shade, and it's the darkest shimmer of the palette. And this is the one shade that I utilize pretty much in all of my looks. If I needed some sort of dimension in the outer corner or the lash line, this is the shade that I really reach for the most. And then you have the shade Peacock, which I mean, it's a one and done kind of a shade. You put that all over the lid, fucking stunning. That said, for $55, is this worth it? Yeah, I think so. I'm pleasantly surprised about this palette. As I said, I was initially on the fence about it because it's like, I liked it, but I really needed to see it in person. And once I saw it in person, it's like I fell in love for the first time. The only thing that irks me is that I wish there was just a dark matte shade in this palette, not a dark shimmer. While I appreciate that the shimmer can be controlled based off the opacity, right? Like if I wanna go in with a lot of pressure, it can be very, very intense. If I wanna have like a light moment, I just go in with a lighter hand. I like that I can control the intensity, but at the end of the day, I want it to be a matte shade and not so much a shimmer shade. The shimmer, my issue with it is, again, the glitter bukkake. So while yes, this is like a metallic, deep chocolate brown, when used in such precise ways, the glitter bukkake just kind of overtakes it. So again, doing your eye makeup first and then your base, you'll be fine. And it'll save you a lot of heartache. The other thing about this palette is that I think it's supposed to be like a green kind of ish color story. I would say, you know, it's more of like a diet green. I wish it was a little bit more green, a little bit more intense. But at the same time, I love the look and feel of this. There are some green moments, but I wouldn't technically classify this as a green palette, which is something that was in the description of it. It was like, oh, this is a fresh green color story. Not so much. This is definitely an earth color story. That said, I love this palette. I really do. It's effortless to use. It's pigmented, has terrific longevity, no weird irritations. The number of looks I can create with this palette, it feels infinite. I don't feel creatively stunted when using this palette. If anything, I kind of almost want to take all this off my face and then just go apply more makeup. I want to make a new look. And it's not to say it's because I hate what I did. Like I really enjoy what it looks like. It's just, I want to use it again. And that's when I know I love a palette, is when I can't stop thinking about the next time I'm going to use it. This is a great basic bitch, neutral, grungy color story. Like I said, it's fucking your way to middle management, and I mean that in the best way possible. It's just so solid. If I were in the office, this would be like go-to #1 palette. But most importantly, this is like a blast from the past. It's everything that I really have always enjoyed about ABH, and then somehow along the way, it's just, I don't know, like, it kind of feels like the brand's a little bit of a joke and they really don't know what the fuck they're doing. I feel like this is the palette that kind of just reined it back in, and it just reminds me of all the things that I really thoroughly enjoyed about this brand. So yes, I think it's worth the money. I think it's worth the splurge. But of course, if you want to wait for a sale, fucking wait for a sale. But I don't think you'll be disappointed if you pay for this full price. Now I want to hear from y'all. Let me know down below if you have this palette, if you love it, if you hate it, if you are on the fence about it. If you are on the fence about it, if you can go to Sephora or Ulta and check this out in person, do so. Do yourself a favor and do so. It's much, much prettier in person than it is online. And with that said, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it as always. Feel free to like, comment, hit that subscribe button, it's free, and hit that bell icon for notification of all my future posts. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, to all my beautiful, wonderful patron bubbies. Thank you so much for keeping this delicious, disgusting, filthy, trashy, really filthy, really gross, really disgusting, really garbage but afloat. I couldn't do without you. I love your adorable little delicious faces, and I just want to gobble you all up so you live in my belly and we can be one. If you want to know what's currently on my face, including the rest of the products, everything you need to know will be listed in the description box below, and I'll see you little pumpkins later. Bye.